What was the weirdest thing someone asked you to do during sex? I had a girl who asked me to give her high keys. In of itself, not a weird ask. But she demanded that I sucked so hard that she wanted it to bleed. I tried. I really gave it my best effort, but no matter how hard I tried, it wasn't enough. Eventually my mouth got tired and my tongue was sore. She was a tiny woman who ate like a gorilla. I've had some decently rough sex, but this was legitimately painful. She also lived with like 3 roommates in a single family house, and she was the loudest screamer I've ever been with. It was a very uncomfortable time. I have a male buddy who has never understood daddy kinks. He had a girl a few times who kept calling him daddy even though she knew he hated it. So he started calling her sport or buckaroo every time she did it. Met this girl on Tinder who was a bit of an exhibitionist, so when we first did the nasty, we did it in my apartment living room with my roommates in their respective rooms. She liked the fear of being caught. And I was really horny, so like it. That's not the weird part though. She kept on saying fill me up with your milk pretty loudly even after I told her she needs to be quiet. So I shoved her head out my living room window and continued to do the horizontal mambo jumbo. While eating a bowl of spaghetti. Girl. Hey. Take your dick out and put it in this spaghetti. Me. Is it? Oh wait. What for? Girl. I wanna suck the meat sauce off. Get over here and dip it in. Proceed to have a weird food texture in mouth fetish for the next couple of weeks. She chewed different types of food to see what felt best while giving head. Hamburger wasn't fun. The ground beef wasn't what I thought it would be. Things were getting hot and heavy with a guy. As I was undressing, I went to take off my watch and he said don't worry about that. Get over here. I thought nothing of it and went back to him. He kissed his way down my body and I then looked down to see him licking and sucking my watch face. I didn't say anything at the time, but I did give my watch a thorough clean when I got home. I dated a guy briefly that couldn't get off unless I choked him until he passed out. I choke him. Keep on riding. Then when he came to, he came. This is how it had to be every time or he wouldn't finish. It didn't last long. It was weird. Bite my nipples and I was like bite. Bite. Forceful. Bite. And she was like yes. Semicolon. I did and she said bite me harder. I did and she said harder. That's when you go out and buy her a good set of nipple clamps. If I wanted to play Minecraft after. It was hilarious and adorable. But not the best time to ask. Edit. Not me. But a great friend of mine. He moved off to college and he currently had a GF. She was down there with him breaking in the IKEA bed set. When she told him. Hit me like a man, he was currently balls deep in her and he was confused, so he slapped her. She said hit me like a real man. Bitch, he proceeded to clock her lights out. In a moment of excitement and confusion. He had to ask himself. Should I continue? Should I stop? WTF did I just do? She had a lovely shade of purple across her face. He broke up with her shortly after she tried getting the same thing. Again. I went out with this girl, who had a bit more than a blindfold fetish. She would keep it on long after sex. Often to the next morning. Then she wanted to go on whole dates surreptitiously blindfolded, with blacked out sunglasses. Her whole personality would change when she was blindfolded. In kind of a nice way. Extremely affectionate and very girly. To be honest. I liked blindfolded A's personality a lot better than regular A's. It was weird. But super cute. Eventually. She found a website that sold blacked out contact lenses you couldn't see through. So we could continue in public. We would go out on dates outside our usual circles where people only knew her as my blind girlfriend. We broke up a while ago. But we still sometimes go out together as my blind friend. These bird box challenges are getting out of hand. Girl really wanted to blindfold me. Handcuff me and then start cutting me with a knife. I said no. She asked me to put a lollipop in her PSSY and then eat it. I did. That's how you get yourself a yeast infection. Take the condom off. I refused. But after I couldn't finish and stopped, she proceeded to tell me she had an infection that was contagious and was advised to not have sex for 8 months. WTF. I brought home a girl and during the heat of the moment she started screaming on the top of her lungs. Like her vocal cords were about to explode. I'm not all that impressive in bed, screaming to go harder and just yelling till her face turned blue. I lived with my parents in a small house. My room was right next to theirs. They were home. Pull out her pubic hair. Let's drench ourselves in Coca-Cola and have sex. I want to give you a carbonated blowjob. Had a guy ask me to unlock my phone, then proceeded to put his number in my contacts while he was pounding me. Him. You like how I did that? Huh. Me. It was kind of weird actually. She wanted me to dress in a ski mask and pretend to be a home intruder. Asked for pictures of my teeth. It escalated into requesting full-on dental records. I later learned he had a dental chair set up and everything for sex purposes. Weirdest thing is that he had no dentistry in his background. Yeah. That guy was a serial killer. My father was a dentist. We donated one of his dental chairs to a sex dungeon after he died. The people at the dungeon were thrilled. It was with a girl I'd been with for a couple of months. Girl said, I can't wait to taste your blood. I responded with, I definitely can't say the same. She was not pleased. She told me to hit her. I gave her a light bitch slap. But she didn't mean slap her. She meant hit her. As in with my fist. I didn't do it. She wanted me to say terrible things about her. That's how I found out physical abuse is much easier to provide on request than emotional abuse. Gosh. You're such a bad girl. Your handwriting is terrible. Partner knows about my obsessive love of all things Harry Potter. Called me my little Dumble during sex. Couldn't finish because we were both laughing too hard. She stopped mid-sex and told me, put on your Batman mask and treat me like a. I'm okay, but did you do it? A woman I dated had a cum eating fetish. Except it wasn't that, she just liked swallowing my cum. She insisted that I cum on food so she could eat it. I would have to end every sexual encounter by coming onto a piece of toast, bagel, or whatever she wanted to eat. It was kind of funny, quirky at first. But eventually I just wanted to have sex without worrying if we had the right bagels on hand. I just wanted to have sex without worrying if we had the right bagels on hand. I had a guy tell me he wanted to put a baby in me and asked me to say, give me a baby. As he came. We had known each other for less than a week. Proposed. I said yes. We were on vacation. So we spent part of the ride home coming up with a sanitized version for when people inevitably asked. A previous girlfriend once moaned her own name whilst she came. Weirdest and funniest thing I've ever heard. She could never really explain why. She went full POC registered sign mon. Point your toes for me, dude. Watched synchronized swimming as PRN. What an fascinating individual. When my ex wanted to swallow my sailors, she would say, give me my chicken and dumplings. Semicolon. It was odd. But never threw me off. At one point. Was dating this chick about 4 years older than me. Refuses to have sex with me unless I called her mommy. The incident that broke the camel's back for me was that she wanted me to nut in her. So I did, and she proclaimed, I'm gonna have my son's baby. Context. She was a co-worker and seemed quite decent. Everyone said she was just the girl next door type. Edit. Grammar. Well, my ex at the time was like 22, 23, around there. And for some reason, she was watching Dora the Explorer as I was eating her PSSY out. Like, I can tell she was enjoying my tongue in her PSSY and all. But yeah. Do you know the way to the Big Blue Mountain? I was once going to town on my ex and she suddenly changed moods and is like keep sucking on my toes. Me being confused and in caveman mode. Kind of paused for a moment until I realized my dog had ventured over and was licking her foot that was hanging off the bed. Jerk off on her face. From full flaccid to finish. I just met her an hour before. And yes, I did it. She asked me to run a sharp knife along her back. Enough to break and cut the skin. But not deep enough to require serious medical attention. That was a solid no from me. Pro tip. If you leave a spoon in the freezer and use the edge of it, you can create a feeling similar to a knife edge without cutting someone. It works if they aren't able to see what you're using. Picked up a pipeline worker in Austin and he wanted me to squeeze his balls as hard as I could with my hand and also on his face. I told him I'd obviously bitten off more than I can chew and asked him to leave my hotel room. Girl I dated had RP fantasies. It was odd. It escalated from her asking me to hold a knife to her throat to asking for me to hold a gun to her head. Not one to disappoint. I brought my small revolver. Unloaded obviously, and during us eyeing. She took my hand with the gun and held it to her head. At that point, she noticed it was unloaded and said, "What the? Why are you being such a PSSY about this?" Nope. Nope, nope, nope. I'm not going to jail. Holy. Dodge a bullet right there. I've asked my girlfriend to high five me after. She told me we'd never have sex again if I did that, so I always high five after. It's teamwork. Man. Everyone deserves to be appreciated for a job well done. Went home with a girl. After a while she rode me on her couch. Looks up at the ceiling fan and said, "This is where my husband hung himself and I lost my chubby." My girlfriend is bad at the dirty talk and rarely does a swear. So it took some effort, but I was trying to get her to tell me to me with your big cock. I got her to say, "I want you to put your penis in me." It's a work in progress. I once had a girl ask me to slow down during sex. Reasonable request. Right? Yay. But then she said slower. Then slower. Got to the point where I was literally eyeing her in slow motion. I mean, like it would take almost 2 minutes for one full thrust in and out. Meanwhile she is moaning and screaming like I'm bruising her ribs. It was the most surreal ever. But it got her off. I mean, it took about 90 minutes. But it got her off. So it was worth it. When it was my turn and she decided she was gonna suck me off, I had to tell her, okay. Slow-mo isn't gonna work for me. Time to press play. First girlfriend I was sexually active with asked me if I wanted to try doggy style. I thought some reason that it was code for an L and had a mini panic attack. Fart when you come, not only I don't get how is that SI in any way, shape or form. But how do you force yourself to fart? Not to mention the fear if I try to do it I will be the guy who himself swallowing. Edit. Well, this blew the up. I read all the replies but I can't respond to all. Thanks for the upvotes and I laughed at most of the jokes. Surprised how many of you actually like to do this. And a huge thanks for the silver too. Maybe just make a fart sound with your mouth and she can't tell the difference. I used to have long hair and people would tell me I look like Jesus. Anyway, I was eyeing a girl and she asked me to lay down with my arms out and my legs together as if I were on a cross. It was very weird, but of course I complied. Afterwards she thanked me for being her Jesus. Edit. The same girl once asked me, "Aren't you gonna lick it off?" About my cum on her stomach. Edit 2. I didn't lick my own cum off of her stomach. I had been dating this woman for a while. Had sex a few times. She liked it fast and rough. She knew about my past. We were both divorced. So then at one point she says, "Talk dirty to me." Hey, no problem. Don't mind that, so I start telling her all the things I am going to do to her and other dirty things. She then says, "Tell me about how you ate her." What? Does she mean herself in third person? Nope. She said, "Tell me how you ate your ex. How did she like it? Did you give it to her in the ass? Did you pound her hard? Well, I really don't want to talk about my ex, boner killer by then, but she insisted. I fantasized about another ex who I still daydreamed about. She loved the dirty talk. I know this is a common one, but punish me daddy makes me laugh more than get horny. You're grounded. Hooked up with a guy while tipsy. We were going at it and he says something I don't quite understand, so I just say yeah baby keep going. Then he pulls out and starts trying to cram his whole hand in me. WTF dude? Well, I just asked if I could fist you and you said yes. Lesson learned. 3. Thus thread both turns me on and repulsed me at the same time. A girl I know has a boyfriend that asked her to pee in his mouth and she was so nervous she pooped a small nugget, raisin size, on his face. Edit. Thanks for the gold and silver. Removed. I was with a woman and she told me suck my dick. Bitch. I obviously was confused, but she said later she just liked the sound of it when she wanted a dude going down on her. That was her way of playing a dominant role or something. I was probably 25. 26 and she was 23. I wonder what she does now that she's married. I just imagine she has her sex dungeon room. In one night, a girl asked me to do the following. 1. Her on the toilet. I was seated. She rode me. Yes. The seat was closed. 2. Her in the closet. 3. Her in the kitchen. Bent over. She demanded I keep saying this is how daddy S. After the first 2. Number 3 seemed so vanilla. I was asked to pay her cell phone bill mid-intercourse. I came and never heard from her again. Her phone was off the next day, so I couldn't text or leave her a VM. Bite her tits so hard I thought I'd break the skin for sure. Poop on her. That was strange. During doggy, he shoved my whole face down into the pillow and demanded look at me. Semicolon. Not possible dude. Semicolon. It's been a few years and I still think about it occasionally as a WTF moment. To pee on them. To let them pee on me. And to let them pee in my mouth. Semicolon. To choke them with my legs, not actually during sex but to them it was all. Semicolon. Edit. No, I'm not R. Kelly. Was bumping uglies with a girl and she was on top and we both finished together. He looked at me and said from this angle. Huh? Do you like fluffy tails and bunny ears? Me. Hell yeah. Huh? Gets up. Walks out of the bedroom and comes back with an actual rabbit. Some of it rubbed off on me I think. I have 2 bunnies now. Edit. To clarify. I did not have sexual relations with that rabbit. I did not have sexual relations with that rabbit. Let's call a press conference real quick. So you can tell it to everybody with a straight face. My now wife then girlfriend of 1 week told me to spit on her face and slap her. Then proceeded to cry when I did it. So that was interesting. Edit. For the first time in my life, I can say this. RIP my inbox. I'm a 7'1" freak of nature and one of my exes yelled "I'm give me your peas my friendly green giant." I then lost my boner and we went to sleep. I think me losing the feeling was why we broke up. Like I'm sorry I wasn't expecting that. My friend had a girl tell him she liked being choked right to the point of losing consciousness. All of us kept telling him that if went too far he would be totally dead. That would be a hard thing to argue if she died or went into a coma even with everyone knowing she was crazy. He met someone else and jumped ship shortly after. First, you don't actually cut off the air. You hold the neck but not so tight that it would leave marks and the purpose is to shut off blood to the brain which would cause lose of consciousness. The idea is to do this at the time of orgasm but not actually cause loss of consciousness. Source. An ex liked this and told me how to do it properly. Edit. And now my top comment is a brief tutorial on choking during sex. Would you please wake up? She asked me to whisper buy one get one free as I turned her into a Twinkie. We had twins. So I think she knew exactly what she was doing. Till. I'm married to a witch. Edit 1. Hey there internet strangers. Thanks for the silver. Okay. So I'm a white chick and I was having a fling with a black guy. He got racial with it a couple times. Once he asked like what I would do if he was a slave up for auction or something like that. And I kinda just giggled and didn't respond cause we were literally doing it. Then the next time we hooked up he asked me if I had thought about what I would do in that situation. I couldn't bring myself to really respond to it. Probably just awkwardly said IDK. IDK if he was looking for me to say I'd buy him or what, but it was odd. Invite him over again but have a whip prepared this time. Me ex was going down on me and halfway through she was like now pee in my mouth. And I was sitting there like okay. Long story short. It is not a good idea to try and pee in your girlfriend's mouth on a soft fabric sofa. He told me to keep it down. We were at his grandmother's house. She was in the next room. It was very weird to begin with. Not that weird. But I've been asked to spit in their mouth. Which weirded me out. You ever think you might need some attentions paid to your butt's hole? Don't know if this applies but I was at a house party years ago. The toilets downstairs was occupied so I go to the one upstairs. As I open the door I hear "Are you my wagon master?" But it was too late to shut the door. I see this big girl marooned in the bathtub. A Keanu Reeves looking dude kneeling over her pouring tequila into her blowhole. She asked me to unduct tape her tits. Could you cut your fingernails? If a girl ever asks you to do this, please do it immediately. No one likes sharp objects in places where they should not be. It hurts. My first American GF. Do you know how to cook Peking duck? I'm hungry. I'm only half Asian. The half that is Asian is not even closely Chinese. She knows I always eat out cause I hate cooking. Why would you be thinking about food during SXE? To be fair she was incredibly high and barely there. But still. It wasn't a weird request. But I didn't handle it well. She wanted to get rough. So I spanked her a bit. Light choking. She liked it. She said say something mean to me. She probably wanted me to call her a bitch. I always feel weird with dirty talk. So I whispered in her ear your dad never loved you. She slapped me. Told me that was it up and ended the session. Was talking to a girl for a month or so. She told me she wanted me to hold an empty pistol to her head while she blew me. UHH. No thanks. I enjoy my freedom. Later during the same conversation. Said she wanted me to her with the end of said pistol. Noped rightly away from her pretty quick after that. I will share a story of something weird I said. I had this friend. Let's call him K. He liked this girl. Let's call her J. J did not feel the same about K. But felt that way about me. I was oblivious to the numerous times she tried to get alone with me until one day it clicked. I okayed it with K and me and J organized some time to get alone. Teenager life am I right? So we headed up to the mountain. Found a quiet secluded path and started doing our thing. In the middle of her going down on me. For whatever goddamn reason I mumble "Oh yeah. Would you do this to K? I've never seen luscious mountain air get thick with awkward so fast. That one still haunts me. Had an ex-GF who loved hot and sweaty sex. She would be instantly turned on when I'd come over after the gym and it wasn't uncommon for us to have sex before I showered. There was a time where I didn't shower for like 3 days. I reeked. And she asked me to sit on her face so she could lick the little sweat off my balls and taint. I proceeded to let her do so. It was the first and last time she asked for that and never told me whether she actually enjoyed it or regretted it. Mid-sex. He wanted to move to his roommate's bed when we first started hooking up. I found out his roommate has a bigger dick lol. Not actually during sex. But after a night of carousing at the casinos with a friend who works in the hotel business. One of the marketing guys was laying on the floor of the limo trying to get my shoes off so he could suck my toes. 1. It was the middle of winter, AC not Vegas. And I was wearing sensible shoes with socks, because we thought we were going out for pizza and got roped into going out to the clubs with her colleagues. It's one thing to go after a girl's feet when she's wearing sandals. But heavy winter shoes and socks? 2. He was wearing a very expensive suit. And my friend kept telling him to get up off the floor of the limo or he was going to ruin his suit. 3. She kept trying to call me the next day and get me to fly with him to Nick to see a show with 2 high rollers. Nothing like trying to pimp out your friends.